alone in the dark, hearing only the smash of the waves against the ship's side and the ship's shuddering reply. Each swell nearly threw him from his bunk. He tried to sleep, but it was no use. The fury of the storm only grew, until the ship was being tossed so wildly that Hudson could not remain in his bunk. He made his way back up on deck. Captain Morris still stood resolutely at the wheel. But Hudson noticed something different this time. He could see a lighthouse close to the leeward side of the ship. "The Holyhead Lighthouse!" Captain Morris yelled to Hudson. "We're heading straight for it!" "How long do we have?" Hudson bellowed back over the howl of the wind. 2 hours at the most," was the captain's grim reply. Hudson could think of nothing else to say. It was over. Captain Morris had done everything he could to save his ship, but nothing had worked. It was only a matter of time before the Dumfries would smash into the rocks. Tears joined the salty trail of sea spray that streaked down Hudson's cheeks. Thoughts of family flooded Hudson's mind as he made his way back below deck. He could see the faces of his mother and father and his sisters, Amelia and Louisa. How would they cope with his death? It was not supposed to end this way. Had God saved him from malignant fever and certain death only to let him drown in the Irish Sea? He thought about his body. Would it sink to the bottom or wash up on shore? Just in case it washed up, he took out his pocketbook and, despite the fierce, unpredictable movements of the Dumfries, managed to write his name and address in large letters inside the cover. He slipped the book inside his undershirt. Now, if his body washed up, his family would know he'd been identified and properly buried. Next, he began looking for something that would float, something he could cling to when the Dumfries sank. As he looked, he realized that floating was less of a problem than avoiding being smashed against the rocks by the raging sea. But there was nothing he could do about that. He would just have to take his chances. Finally, he settled on a cane hamper as a life preserver. It would surely float, and it was easy to cling to. Inside the hamper, he put a little food, a change of clothes, some rope, and his surgical tools. With this unlikely life-saving kit tucked under his arm, he once again made his way to the deck. A hatchway door had been ripped from its hinges, and water was now pouring in below deck through the hatch. Several crew members were scrambling to cover the gaping hole with a piece of torn sail and some lumber. On deck, Captain Morris was still standing at the Dumfries wheel, where he had been standing for the past 24 hours. Frothing water swirled around his legs as wave after wave washed violently over the ship's railing. Hudson gripped the railing and pulled himself towards the captain. Above him, the halyards whipped against the mast. Captain Morris was trying to get the Dumfries to tack, zigzagging the ship first one way and then the other, to get away from the rocks. But it was no use. The wind was just too strong, and the ship still would not respond. Yard by yard, they were being pushed toward Holyhead Lighthouse and the ship-smashing rocks of the Welsh coast. The lighthouse beam passed rhythmically, eerily, over the Dumfries' bow. It was the kind of light no sailor ever wanted to see this close. Knowing he was about to lose his ship, Captain Morris checked his instruments one last time. The barometer revealed that the pressure was beginning to rise, but not fast enough to be of any use to them. Then he checked the wind gauge. Suddenly, he shouted, "The wind has shifted!" he cried. "Only 2 points, mind you, but enough that we might be able to clear the rocks." He barked orders to his crew, who scurried up from below deck to carry them out. They pulled at the halyards with all their might to set the sails to take advantage of the wind shift. Captain Morris skillfully adjusted the Dumfries' wheel, and this time the ship began to respond. Instead of being swept closer to the rocks, it began to inch away from them. Inches turned to feet, and feet